Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Total Soccer Show. I am Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who this year did not do a fantasy football draft. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello there.
Hello for the, I believe, 11th consecutive year. Yes,
Is that
that's
right?
correct, yes.
What's wrong with you? I thought every other American man that I know did a fantasy football draft. Even people who had no interest in football did it.
I think it's my awareness, and I did do one last year for the Premier League, and I think I just know my tendency.
I meant NFL
I know.
throwable.
But with both, my tendency is to I'm going to do it this year. This is the year I'm going to take it seriously. And 4 weeks later, when I haven't changed my lineup for 2 weeks, is when I realized that maybe I shouldn't have done this.
Maybe next year for me as well.
You think?
Yeah.
No.
But on today's show, we will be doing a Champions League draft. Mm-hmm. Later today, we'll also be catching up on all the latest MLS news. This is a show for Euro snobs and MLS snobs. We're bringing everybody together in one total soccer show.
Sure, this should work. That should do it, totally. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Champions League begins Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday, Champions League kicks off. And in honour, we got an email from Nick Becker. Here's Nick Becker's email. He says, so this morning, an unnamed but well-known website had a poll to select your best 11 of the Champions League group stage participants. Nick says he always gets annoyed with these types of things because they don't create plausible lineups and they end up overlooking guys in certain positions. Mm-hmm. I loved your TSS Scouting Network draft. Yeah, we did that 6 months ago maybe, right? And maybe it's too late to squeeze in, but I thought it would be really cool if you guys would do a Champions League draft and create some crazy, good, but functional teams. It's not too late, Nick. We're going to do it right now. So
we're going to do our best right now, is what I'm going to say.
We are going to do our best.
Given that we decided to do this not many hours ago.
Yeah, well, that email only came in not too long ago.
Yeah, I feel like the Scouting Network, we had a little bit of time to prepare. Yeah. So this one, hopefully these are functional. Hopefully they're satisfactory.
So essentially, Taylor and I are going to go back and forth and each try and draft a team made up of the best players who are going to be in the Champions League group stage. So that means no Yaya Toure.
Yep.
He was left out of the squad. And I guess we'll just see who comes up with the best team. Maybe afterwards we'll compare or ask listeners to pick which one's best.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. We haven't decided how you're ahead of me. Taylor has a coin to flip.
I don't have the official referee coin that Scott Zawadzki gave me this weekend to settle these types of disputes, but I do have a penny.
We'll go with that penny.
So do you want to say heads, Daryl goes first, and tails, I go first?
Yeah.
It's heads. Mr. Grove, you have the honor of the first pick. And he claps with squealish delight and then says,
it's got to be Leo Messi.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? There's no need to spend time explaining it if you're building any team. Leo Messi, for me, is the first pick.
And I'm bitter. And
I'm sorry.
That makes sense. And I might take a surprising route here because I'm going to say not Ronaldo. I'm going to say Neymar is my first pick.
Ooh.
Neymar is in form, playing well, winning goals. I'm saying Neymar.
All right. Mm-hmm. I've got to go Cristiano Ronaldo then. I can't believe this. I'm going to have a team with, I think I'm going 4-2-3-1. Probably should not have revealed this early in the draft. But I'm going to have Messi on the right, Ronaldo on the left.
That's fine, because I'm going to go a little go ahead.
I think we should talk about why you didn't want to choose Ronaldo, because for most people, Messi versus Ronaldo is the debate. Who's the best player in the world? And you've just inserted Neymar in the middle.
Yeah.
Like a third wheel.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Like a chaperone.
Yeah, I'm all about, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the tattoos. And I don't need some guy with his shirt off in my locker room, in my fantasy locker room.
I think I know what's happened here.
Huh.
I think because Ronaldo has been sort of injured for the start of the season, we haven't seen him banging in goals for Real Madrid because he hasn't been playing. And I think it's out of sight, out of mind. Taylor Rockwell's act like they forgot about C-Run.
First of all, you've been listening to 104.3, haven't you? Classic hip-hop radio station. The greatest thing ever. That may well be. I just think Neymar has a better situation around him and maybe has more backing than does Ronaldo.
Oh, really?
That said, Madrid didn't really bring in that many players before that transfer embargo came into place.
And they won't be bringing in any more players.
Exactly.
Right?
So maybe Ronaldo does have some backing. Either way, I'm going Neymar. And so it's my pick.
Yep.
I will go with Robert Lewandowski as my out-and-out striker.
I nearly got the perfect trio. I wanted a Messi, Ronaldo, Lewandowski lineup. So I guess I should get a centre forward as quickly as possible, right? I am going to go with Luis Suarez.
Fair enough.
Luis Suarez is my centre forward.
You have clearly never done a fantasy draft, have you?
Why is that?
Well, because I'm only playing one out-and-out striker, and I've already picked mine. So no, you did not need to blow your pick on a striker.
Well, but either way, Luis Suarez is coming with me.
You've got Luis Suarez. I think I'll round out my attacking trio, and I'm not sure how you're going to feel about this one because I'm kind of playing him out of position, but I'm going Kevin De Bruyne is my other attacking winger.
Oh wow!
So I've got Neymar and Kevin De Bruyne with Robert Lewandowski ahead of them.
Okay, then in my team, Suarez is my centre forward, Messi on the right, Ronaldo on the left. In the hole, attacking midfield, it's the Welsh wizard, Gareth Bale.
Oh, so you're playing him there. So you're bringing him inside.
Yep. That's where he wants to play. He wants to be a number 10.
It's strategic.
And
I don't like it because I like it.
2 Real Madrid, 2 Barcelona. I'm very happy with my front four, I got to say.
All right. Then I see this is where I'm not so worried about like getting the big names in, but the players that are going to make my team functional.
Fine, let me pick first then.
Nah, no, I'm good. I'm going Casemiro. Real Madrid's holding midfielder, defensive midfielder. Casemiro is anchoring my midfield.
That's very nice. All right. Okay, then for me, I struggle to call him a defensive midfielder, but my midfielder is Arturo Vidal.
Yep, that makes sense. I like it. I'm going to take a page out of your book from this weekend in the sense that you reminded me he existed, and I'm going Ilkay Gundogan because I think he's going to do very well for Pep Guardiola. He is a player that Pep Guardiola targeted. We saw how good City looked without him even being in that lineup. I think when he gets fully fit and gets in there, he's going to do big things.
Okay, my other central midfielder. This is a weird pick. I just love him, and I haven't seen enough of him lately. It's Verratti.
I knew you were going to do it, and I had him in mind just to annoy you.
Verratti is going to join Vidal, and that means I've now actually got the flying Vs in midfield.
Well, I'm just going to continue to make my midfield tiny, because I'm going to go Luka Modric as other midfielder.
He was on my list too.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to stop us here, right? Because we've done our midfielders, we've done our attackers.
Yeah.
You know who hasn't been selected?
Who's that?
Thomas Müller.
Yep.
How has that happened?
Because I can tell you why. I actually kind of don't want to tell you why. Because I want to get through with... Because the whole goal of this was to make a functional team. And I had a plan in mind, and that's why I've picked the way I have. And Thomas Müller, as crazy as it might be, did not fit the system that I was going for.
I honestly now regret picking Gareth Bale. I think I wish I'd gone Thomas Müller behind that. Oh, too late.
Yet you're stuck.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, I'm stuck with Gareth Bale. Woe is me.
So I will let you go next. I also am not thrilled with myself for following your lead and picking front to back. I obviously should have gone with some defenders. But here we are.
I'm going to go goalkeeper first. I'm going to go with Gigi Buffon.
Wow,
of Juventus.
really?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. It's for one moment. Did you see recently in the Italy-France friendly?
No.
During the anthems, it was the game was in Italy. Italian fans started booing the French national anthem. Gigi Buffon started applauding. Then his teammates started applauding. Then the whole stadium started applauding to drown out the boos. He applauded the anthem and turned the whole thing around.
That could have swung the other way, though, because it could have seemed like he was applauding the booing.
Oh, it was when you see Gigi Buffon, you know what his intentions are. His heart is pure.
All right, well,
his goalkeeping is strong. He is my goalkeeper.
Well, since you've already picked your goalkeeper, I'm going to go with what I said and not pick a goalkeeper. I'm going to go with a center back, and I'm going with...
Claudio Bravo?
Incorrect. I'm going with Bonucci. Leonardo Bonucci is my first choice center back.
Not thrilled about that. Not thrilled about that. I guess I could go Chiellini and deny you the partnership. I think I'm going to go Chiellini and deny you the partnership.
That is fine, because he was not my pick. My next pick, which I now get, is Jerome Boateng.
Oh, very nice. He was on my list too. Okay. Ooh, we are trading centre-backs here. All right. I want to pick Michael Pazdan from Legia Warsaw because he's in the Champions League. But I also, heart says Pazdan.
Why don't we do some, underrated players or some players that didn't quite make the team afterwards?
We'll have a bench of guys that we love. Okay, so not Pazdan. PK Ramos. Thiago Silva.
Okay.
Thiago Silva is my other defender. Silva and Chiellini are my centre-backs.
See, this is a toughie. I kind of want you to pick your left back first. So I am going with Hector Bellerin as my right back.
Oh, nice. He was on my shortlist too. Yep. Okay. My left back is Felipe Luis. Love him.
That was my first choice.
Love him.
But I felt like I should pick him, but then the other obvious choice is David Alaba. And that's what I will be picking as my left back.
So then that leaves my right back, Dani Alves.
Really? You go Alves?
I think he's still the top right back. It was only last season he was destroying teams with Barcelona.
I say really more so because I just thought you loved the tired, multiple bagged eyes of a certain Mr. Juanfran. So I thought you'd stick with him. Now here's the weird thing. I was prepared for you to snatch up a goalkeeper. I was not prepared for that to be Gigi Buffon.
Yeah?
So the guy that I want to choose, weirdly, is Hugo Lloris. But I think I have to choose Manuel Neuer. I think if I don't, I'm a moron, right?
If you want to lose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I go Neuer. I think I'm going to go Neuer. Overall.
Okay. So does that complete the draft?
Yes,
I have
it
a
does.
4-2-3-1 here. Okay,
Yes.
Taylor, you want to read me out your team from over there then? We've
Sure.
both gone 4-2-3-1, as is.
I have not.
As is tradition.
I've gone 4-3-3.
Oh, my apologies. Okay.
Yeah. So I've got Manuel Neuer in goal. My back four from left to right is David Alaba, Leonardo Bonucci, Jerome Boateng, and Hector Bellerin. Then my midfield three is Ilkay Gundogan, Casemiro, and Luka Modric. And then up top, my front three is Neymar, Lewandowski, and Kevin De Bruyne.
I like it. I can't say I don't like it. I just like mine better.
That's fair.
In goal, and with the armband, Gigi Buffon.
All right.
He gets the armband over all these guys. All right. Right back, Dani Alves. Centre back partnership of Silva and Chiellini. Left back, Felipe Luis. You cannot go past him. Holding midfielders, Vidal and Verratti. So Verratti's going to be more holding. Vidal's going to go up and down. Ahead of them in the number 10 spot, Gareth Bale. I wish I'd chosen Thomas Muller, but I'll settle for Gareth Bale. On the right, Leo Messi. On the left, Cristiano Ronaldo. Through the middle, Luis Suarez.
Yep. That's pretty decent. So the idea that I had with keeping it functional was I essentially wanted to kind of mirror what Barcelona had without just picking Barcelona players.
Yeah.
So I wanted a kind of compact ball-playing central midfield with a solid defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
That's Casemiro for me. And then I wanted basically two very capable center backs who are also very good playing the long ball. That's why you have Bonucci and Boateng. So you've got that long ball lethalness. You've got the pace.
To Lewandowski?
Yeah.
Ooh,
you've got
I like
the pace out wide of Alaba and Bellerin getting forward. And then you've got Neymar and Kevin De Bruyne doing those types of things that they do. So you've got that kind of fluidity of the movement. You've got Modric and Gundogan passing. You've got Bonucci and Boateng passing. You've got Robert Lewandowski as your big man threat.
I feel like I need to make the case for my team.
Oh, by all means, go ahead.
The one thing I'm really happy I've done is I've reunited Dani Alves and Leo Messi down that right wing. Because if anyone doesn't know, Alves has gone to Juventus.
Oh, it's a very good shout.
Right? Yeah, Alves and Messi down the right. I think the thing I shouldn't have done is put Bale and Ronaldo in the same team. Because I'm not... I know they won the Champions League last year, and I know it basically works, but it also... I feel like both of them could work better maybe without the other one. And again, I wish it was Thomas Muller. If only I could have the last few minutes back. But still, I'm happy with my team.
All right. I'm Gareth Bale had a better summer overall.
This is true.
And then for my bench players, I'm just going to pick...
Can we call these wild cards?
Sure. I'm picking one guy, and he basically fills 4 different bench positions because it's Saul. And I was really ready to pick him in a number of different midfield spots. Yeah. So I'm putting him as my first bench choice.
Okay, my first bench choice, Michael Pazdan. Because I couldn't get him to Wolves, I'm going to get him to my Champions League.
I know this isn't a real team, and I know why you did that, but for everything you've just said about him, my second bench choice is going to be Thomas Muller.
That's fine.
I'll bring him on if I need the kind of reliable second striker, and I want to change up my formation a little bit. Also, we've flipped it because I went first this time, so I'm okay with that. For the bench, I get first pick.
Ricardo Quaresma of Besiktas.
I knew you were going to do it.
I cannot live without him. He is on my bench. If Ronaldo's not cutting it, in goes Quaresma.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might do that. I'm also going to go with... Oh, see, I've just picked...
Only one more each.
See, Thomas Muller has actually ruined things for me because I had another striker that I wanted to choose, and since you've done this for me, I'm going to stick with midfield, and I'm going to say it was another guy who was actually my first choice central midfielder, and then I decided I wanted Modric instead, which is maybe what some other people have done in their club careers, but I'm going with Gavi. So I've got 2 Atletico Madrid players coming in to kind of fill out the central midfield if I need them to.
Antoine Griezmann didn't make the cut. I think
not.
we just kind of stacked in terms of attacking players. You know what I mean? Like, he's good enough to play for any of these teams, but he's never the best player.
But
here's Ronaldo or Messi or Neymar.
Here's the weird thing for me, and I know this is like way too nerdy, but I legitimately...
Nothing is way too nerdy for the Talk Show.
Yeah, that's very true. I legitimately didn't know what to do with him because there was so much conversation about where you play him for France, and he doesn't really work here.
That was the whole summer, right?
You can't necessarily play him out wide. He doesn't look as good. He wants to be central, and he kind of wants to be by himself. That doesn't really fit with what I wanted to do with my theoretical starting 11. So, I mean, it wasn't for, it's not a condemnation of him as a player. It's just that I don't really know how you fit him in to make it like an actual efficient starting 11.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Mesut Ozil. He maybe could have taken that spot instead of Bale or Thomas Muller, the number 10. He would have worked. A guy I really want, only because of what happened this weekend, is Kolarov at left back.
He was my third left back choice.
Yeah,
and I left him out because I wanted those kind of attacking fullbacks a bit more.
Yeah,
and Kolarov, I don't think is necessarily the paciest left back, but obviously, again, if you're going with that long ball, It's going to be him.
All right, I feel like we should end it here because we could just end up listing loads and loads of players.
Yes.
But it's worth reminding everybody, Champions League does start on Tuesday at 2:45 Eastern. Games are on Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2.
And Aubameyang is my fourth sub. That was my other one in case you got Lewandowski.
So we will, I think, write these down somewhere and maybe post links or images somewhere in the show notes. We'll make sure you can see them. Twitter's the place to do this, right? We'll put these on Twitter. Let us know which team you think would win in this game. It's worth also highlighting the actual games that are taking place on Tuesday and Wednesday. I've got a quick list of the games I think I'll be keeping.
Do you want to list them all, or do you want to go with the ones we're excited about?
The ones I'm most excited about. You ready? On Tuesday, it's got to be PSG Arsenal. That game's on TV.
It does,
I'm keeping an eye on that.
But it's PSG like slightly less of a draw nowadays.
That's true, yeah. I'm thinking
because Zlatan is gone and because David Luiz is gone. There's still obviously you've still got the Angel Di Marias of the world, the Edson Cavani's of the world. Verratti is in there.
I'll watch for that reason.
Very, very
just
talented.
Just to see him do a spin in his own box.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So he'll
do the Zidane anywhere.
True. So yeah, but it's I think that one looks like it's going to be way more competitive than it may be, especially because PSG has struggled so far in the start of the season.
It is at PSG, though. It's a big ask for Arsenal, right?
Maybe, but I really think that could easily be like a 1-1 draw or an Arsenal win.
So if that's not the game to watch, then the game to watch is Barcelona-Celtic, because that's on TV.
Yep. That's it. That's an exciting one.
It's going to be a win for Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think the Alaves result, Alaves beating Barcelona, I think Celtic are going to get
on
the
that later,
backlash.
weirdly. Yeah.
Really? All right. So I think Celtic are going to get the backlash to that result.
Yep. I've heard that theory as well. Man City Gladbach is another exciting one.
That's the other one I had. I feel like if Fabian Johnson wasn't playing for Borussia Mönchengladbach, I wouldn't be as excited, right? But because we get to see Fabian Johnson up against this Guardiola Manchester City machine, that's why it's really interesting to me.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and then like the hipster pick maybe, unless you have more to say about City Gladbach.
Well, just that Fabian Johnson was rested this weekend, and we're pretty sure the reason he was rested for Borussia Mönchengladbach is because he'd gone and played for the US, like way far away from Germany, and come back. And then I think he's been rested so he can play in this game.
Yeah. And it's against a Man City team coached by Pep Guardiola. Who is Gladbach's coach? I forget.
It's no longer Lucien Favre.
Yeah, exactly. I was hoping you'd jump in because I always want to say him, but it's Andre Schubert, I think is who it is.
Okay.
And he, I think, famously managed to be the only team in the Bundesliga that did not lose to Bayern Munich last season. And so there's some kind of...
because Guardiola.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if that continues, but it seems unlikely. And then the hipster selection that I was going to say was maybe PSG versus Atletico, because...
PSV?
Excuse me. PSV, because that's the PSV team that handed Manchester United like the shock result in last season's Champions League group stage in the first game.
Shock if you think Manchester United were good last year.
At the time, it was a shock result. And then Atletico have so many good players and have Fernando Torres and Antoine Griezmann starting up top and looking good.
Let's move on to Wednesday before we list all the games. So the Wednesday game, in some ways, it's less glamorous, right, the Wednesday games. But the game I think I'm most interested in, weirdly, is Spurs v Monaco.
Yeah.
Because it's Spurs back in the Champions League after a bit of an absence. And this Monaco team, I think you were telling me earlier, is top of Ligue 1.
They are, I believe, undefeated. Defeated PSG 3-1, I believe 3-0, one or the other. So, I mean, they're top of the table looking good.
And the other one I'm looking at is Leicester City Football Club in Europe. They start with a glamorous trip to Bruges. In Bruges, where Colin Farrell did not want to go.
Yes, prepare yourself for a lot of in Bruges jokes this week. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, especially in the Leicester press.
Correct.
Yeah. Juve Sevilla?
That's a game.
Except without Ever Banega. I think that takes the Sevilla without
and
Ever
Unai
Banega.
Emery. Yeah. But with Jorge Sampaoli. So, you know.
Oh, okay.
Gets a little rowdy in there.
And this game's a reminder, no Paul Pogba in the Champions League.
It's weird,
this
right?
Year. It is very weird.
It's weird because I kept wanting to write him in my lineup, right? I was like, something's wrong. Something's not right here. And then maybe rounding it out for Wednesday would be Madrid Sporting. You've got the... what's the Iberian Derby? That's what I'm going to call that.
Is that what you want to call it?
I have no idea if that's a thing. I don't think it is, but I'm going to call it that.
Oh, yeah, it's Madrid versus Lisbon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we're calling it the Iberian Derby.
Cool.
We coined it if it's not a thing. Copyright Total Soccer Show.
Beautiful.
We'll be back on Wednesday to review the Tuesday games and Thursday to review the Wednesday games. Basically, whichever one has the most action, like where the good goals are, we'll take a look at some of those goals and all the plays, right? Also today, Taylor, we have a new segment that I am very personally very excited about.
Very personally very excited, huh?
Yep. I wanted to get some varies in there. We have made the commitment to do more MLS coverage.
Yep.
And it all worked out very nicely because we talked to Ruffneck Scarves, who've been one of our sponsors. And they obviously they're the official scarf supplier to Major League Soccer. So we said, how about if you guys sponsored a weekly MLS segment on the Total Soccer Show? And they said yes. So going forward, MLS fans, there will be an MLS segment every week on TSS sponsored by Ruffneck Scarves.
There we are. And what's that segment tentatively, unofficially going to be titled, Mr. Grove?
Things we want to talk about in MLS.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it's essentially, Taylor and I have picked sort of 3 things that we think are worth talking about in MLS this week. I think I've got this feeling right between us. We're not going to have exactly the same ones, but we're also not going to get away with not some overlap. So I'm guessing between us it'll be 5 things we want to talk about in MLS.
4 or 5, yeah.
This
I'd say
week.
so.
Let me introduce our sponsor first, though. Ruffneck Scarves is committed to providing passionate soccer fans with outstanding customer service, professional design, and the highest quality soccer scarves in the world.
Correct.
If you are looking for a US national team scarf, Ruffneck Scarves are the place to go. We've had listeners buy it, take a photo, tweet it to us. I'm always very happy when I see that. And everybody who's received a scarf from Ruffneck is very happy about it. They also do all MLS scarves. You can take a look at ruffneckscarves.com, RUFFNECK scarves.com, and you can see the full selection. Use promo code Total Soccer Show for 20% off anything you can find in the store.
That's Total Soccer Show, all caps, all one word, no spaces.
Certainly is. Mm-hmm. All right, Taylor, what's your first thing you want to talk about in MLS this week, sponsored by Ruffneck Scarves?
It's the anger of Will Parchman. That's what I want to talk about.
From Top Draw Soccer?
Yes.
Okay. Why is he angry?
Will Parchman, if you follow him on Twitter, if you've seen his timeline, went on a little bit of a Twitter rant about the treatment that Tommy Thompson is receiving courtesy of San Jose.
Give me his full name. TSS favourite, Tommy Thompson.
Yes. TSS Hype Train. I don't even know what that would be.
Tommy Train.
One of your many trains that you operate is the Tommy Thompson Hype Train.
So what was Will Parchman upset about?
So the way he wrote it is that essentially Tommy Thompson was doing like a juggling display at halftime of San Jose's game, which is
Seattle, right? Is that?
I think so. Yeah. Which is kind of true, but not really. It's basically they're warming at halftime, and apparently there was like a dog catching frisbee competition in the middle of the field, which is limited space, and so he kind of didn't have the freedom to warm up the way the players usually do. But I think it's also part of his halftime tradition is to juggle a whole bunch. Yeah. So it became he was kind of doing a bunch of tricks in front of the fans. Right. So it wasn't necessarily him on display, but it was definitely representative of Tommy Thompson at San Jose. That rather than being into the team and being part of the plans for the second half, he's out juggling by himself.
So we talked about this, maybe a week ago. Mm-hmm. He's been on loan at Sac Republic, and he's been putting up some numbers. Mm-hmm. I want to say for the first time in his career, he's been registering goals and assists.
Not 18, though, unfortunately.
Because Opta don't count juggles.
Yes. That was my guess as to how many goals and assists he had in the season, if you recall.
Not 18. I think it was 3 and 2, but still pretty good, right? He's finally, all this amazing skill set he's got. He does things like rolling the ball off his back and spinning around. He has an incredible skill set. He's kind of the entertaining American player that we all want to see break through. He's back at San Jose. I'm assuming he didn't play this year. Sorry, this game.
He did not.
No.
He did juggle, though. But it's apparently it's like it's representative, as I said, of a larger issue that San Jose fans seem to have with Dom Kinnear, who is the head coach. Yeah. Just that he doesn't seem to be too inclined to develop young talent. You have Tommy Thompson, who's not getting any minutes. You have Amir Bashti, who's likely to be their next homegrown player, but they're not doing anything very much with him. And so it's this weird dichotomy where you have this frustration with the youth, even as you have players like Chris Wondolowski, who I think scored 10 or more goals for the 7th straight season, which I think has never been done before. So you have those kind of positive things, but then you have a lack of youth development, and they're near the bottom of the table.
Well, I'll be renewing my season ticket on the Tommy Thompson hype train every year until someone tells me to get off.
You do that, good sir. You do that.
All right, the thing I want to talk about is, there's 2 ways of phrasing this. Red Bull's late collapse against DC United.
There's the overlap.
2-2. Or DC's heroic comeback to come from behind and score 2 goals in the last 5 minutes to tie New York.
Yes.
So this was at Red Bull Arena. New York Red Bulls were up 2-0 in the 89th minute. Goals from Varane and Bradley Wright Phillips. 89th minute, that man, Steve Birnbaum, scores with his feet.
Yes,
so he actually wins a header, causes a scramble, pops back loose to him, buries it in the corner, 89th minute. Consolation goal, right? No, because this is New York Red Bulls. 95th minute, another scramble. Lamar Neagle is the one that gets it over the line. 2-2. So that means New York Red Bulls missed the chance to go top of the East. And also, I read a stat that they have dropped 18 points from a leading position in 2016.
Which is the most of any club in Major League Soccer.
It's the most I could possibly imagine.
Yeah, and so there was some speculation on the Twitter sphere that was maybe because when you do a high press for 90 minutes, it becomes problematic at a certain point.
Oh, that was going to be my analysis.
Yeah.
That's actually what people are saying, yeah.
I think it's that, and then when you have Bill Hamid as your opposition goalkeeper,
he did
pulling
make some
out
good saves.
ridiculous saves.
Also, from what I saw, Sasha Kleshtin appeared to be aiming at the post. He kept having amazing cutbacks and then hitting the post.
Yeah. All right. So I will say, classy moment of the weekend goes to the Red Bull supporters. I don't know if you saw that tifo, but it was the 9/11 anniversary tifo where it had. You know that like Red Bulls fans and DC fans don't tend to get along, but it was a DC New York combination.
It was World Trade Center Pentagon, right?
Exactly.
In one big tifo. Yep. Yeah, it was a nice moment. Did you see everybody's numbers on their back with sort of stars and stripes?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Flavored,
nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
stars and stripes flavored?
Yeah.
You know what that flavor is? Freedom.
So it's a very patriotic game with a very dramatic finish.
Yep.
So can we talk about the reasoning for this then? Because it was your point as well, so we might as well go deep on this one. To me, it is that thing of you press and you're tired. But also, from what I understand, the reason New York keep dropping these points is they also refuse to stop pressing and maybe just keep the ball. Right? It would be kind of smart to just like do that boring thing where you pass the ball across your own defence and just like maybe not go charging forward. I read a thing today that in practice, the Red Bulls have a shot clock.
Wow.
Meaning, like, get the ball at the field directly, urgently, get there as fast as you can. I think you get in that mindset. It is amazing because it puts you in the lead, but it also wears you out and doesn't set you up mentally to defend a lead.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing, but also a really risky strategy.
Yep.
Because it really does. If you teach your players to do this one thing the entire time, he's not going to be able to see very well. You're not going to be able to rest very well, I guess, or possess the ball very well if you're frantically trying to get the ball upfield.
But the good news for Red Bulls fans is, I guess, you missed a chance to go top, but you were pretty close to going top, right? And Red Bulls still look like a form team as we're heading into the playoffs.
Yes. And
as long as that late collapse doesn't happen in a
there
playoff
it is,
game.
exactly. That's kind of the downside.
Because then it's over, right?
Yeah. But it's okay. Red Bulls fans have no experience with frustrating postseasons and, late season letdowns at all.
The final good news for Red Bulls that I read is that Dax McCarty is coming back. He was back from a broken leg, I think, last week, but then was pulled from the lineup against DC because it's hard to come back from a break.
And you also have Sasha Kleshtin, who played in both of the USA's World Cup qualifiers, so maybe just a little bit sluggish, maybe a little bit fatigued.
I mean, he looked sharp on the post-hitting things I saw. I mean, he was cutting and making space and doing really well, but just couldn't quite finish past Bill Hamid.
Maybe that's why maybe he's like stealing the youth of Darlington Nagbe, and that's why Nagbe can't play. It's because Sasha Kleshtin is absorbing his power.
It's like a Dorian Gray situation.
Yes, that's what I'm going with.
There's a portrait somewhere of a withered moustache.
Yes.
If you're a DC fan, as many people are around here, DC are currently 8th in the East. You've got to hit 6th to make the playoffs. They're only 1 point behind New England Revolution and Orlando City. So that, to me, that's the really exciting bit of the race to the end of the regular season is when there's 1 point between 3 teams and there's only one playoff spot that you can take.
Yep, and I think DC fans, obviously want to make the playoffs, but also this is kind of the first year that maybe the first time ever for them that if they don't, it's still sort of like, yeah, but next year's going to be fine. Because next year's the new stadium.
That's a point, yeah.
It's probably got a little more money coming in, a little more maybe high-profile signings to make them a more alluring tourist attraction.
All right, here's my question, though. Is next year really the new stadium? Because there's a disparity between scheduled opening dates and actual construction finished let's play soccer here dates.
Can we just be optimistic? Can we just be excited and be pumped about the renderings that mostly look good? Sort of?
I've never looked at the scoreboards in the renderings. They must be pretty DC winning, right?
Yeah.
So I've done mine. What's your next one?
Well, I had the Red Bulls as well.
So what's your next one?
My next one is that Gio Dos Santos is good at the soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Last 3 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. And really, I know this doesn't really count because it wasn't from this weekend, but in their 3-3 draw with Real Salt Lake, if you go back and watch...
Wednesday?
Yes. Yeah. His through ball for Emmanuel Boateng is unreal.
It's Fire.
Yes.
If I had to describe that, I would use the fire emoji 3 times.
Yeah, and Matt Doyle described it, I think, as Carlos Valderrama-esque, or Carlos Valderrama would be proud of that. Because I'm more of a DC fan, I'm going to say that Marco Echeverri would be very proud of that.
So you showed this to me before we started recording. I got a good look at it. It seems like somehow he keeps the ball on the floor but puts backspin on it.
Yeah.
So that he can fire it through for Boateng to run onto, but also the backspin slows it up so it doesn't just go straight out of bounds.
Exactly. That's what's so impressive about it, is that he hits it low enough that he can get the power behind it so that it moves fast, and then as soon as it touches the ground, because it's got that backspin, it sits up and holds up so that Boateng can run right onto it, and it doesn't just go way out into the corner, and then he has to kind of adjust his run and then cut in hard towards the goal. He can take that kind of gradual run towards the goal and then finish very well.
So people may be wondering why we're talking about the LA Galaxy, not talking about Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
It's because we already did that.
That was the weird thing when we decided to do this, that it was sort of like...
The biggest news.
Yeah, the biggest news is that news that we already talked about.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, on the Monday show, you can find our take on Landon Donovan's 7 minutes plus added time against Orlando City. Didn't also Gio Dos Santos, though, in that game, that 4-2 win over Orlando, have a goal and an assist?
If you're talking about conventional, or if you're talking about like from open play and conventional statistical tracking, then yes. But otherwise, no. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. But he had an MLS assist and a penalty.
My apologies to Gio Dos Santos. The one I was thinking of was the one where he sort of is like right up in the keeper's face, but then like sidesteps with his left foot and just taps it out to Robbie Keane, I believe.
And even that is a beautiful ball in from Sebastian Lletget. But and then received by Dos Santos, and he does the kind of FIFA tap across, throws off the goalkeeper, and Robbie Keane eventually finishes.
All right. So you said 2 goals, 2 assists in that game. All right, Gio.
He's doing all right.
Is he going to be doing all right against the US men's national team on November 11th, or will he not be recalled by Eltree?
There's a big movement to get him recalled that I've seen. I think...
Is it among MLS rival teams who will be facing the LA Galaxy in the playoffs?
That could also be. I feel like from everything I've read about him, Juan Carlos Osorio is a bit of a stubborn man who kind of backs his approach to the game. He hasn't called up Gio Dos Santos, or hasn't seemed too interested in including him in the starting 11 and matchday squads.
Yeah.
So I think that will probably continue, even if it maybe shouldn't.
I guess he's been in crazy form in MLS before, and it hasn't earned him a call-up, right? So just because we've started doing a segment sponsored by Ruffneck Scarves and we're paying attention to it, doesn't mean Carlos Osorio is suddenly going to be persuaded.
But it is also a Mexico team that had a very, by all accounts, dull 0-0 draw with Honduras to see out the last round of qualifying. Maybe you bring in Gio Dos Santos, who's in really good, creative, attacking, goal-scoring form. Maybe they become less dull, more exciting.
Speaking of really good, creative, attacking, goal-scoring form, on my paper here, I just have the word, Josie Altidore can't stop scoring. That's what I want to talk about.
Did you mean to say goals he always score?
I did. I did mean to say goals he always
scores.
scores.
To make sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
So his stats are, not including the US games against St. Vinny's and Trinidad and Tobago, 6 goals in the last 8 games. He scored the past weekend for Toronto FC against Chicago, and had I'm going to call it an assist. Also had an assist on Osorio's goal against Chicago.
Curious why you laugh when you say that.
Have you seen it? Okay, so Sean Johnson throws the ball out, right? And it's not a good throw.
Yeah, okay.
And Altidore sort of intercepts it and tries to settle it and then shoot.
Yeah.
But he just settles it kind of poorly. It bounces off of him and goes to Osorio, who then scores.
Oh, okay.
So it's an assist. It's a Dempsey assist is what it is. So he really is fulfilling the Dempsey role, Josie Altidore. But apart from that, he had a great goal in this game against Chicago where he just sort of received the ball, one touch, defenders came charging at him and he just bent it into the corner. And outside of that, I went back and watched the 5 other goals that he scored recently. There's all kinds of strength and power and confidence. There's one against Houston where Sebastian Giovinco does that sort of short, they used to call it the Tottenham corner.
It's too many Gios in this show.
Sorry, yeah. Little Sebastian does that old Tottenham corner, you know the one we talk about, where they used to play it short diagonal to Teddy Sheringham, top of the box, and Altidore smashes it like centre roof of the net. There's one against, I believe, Philadelphia Union, I may be incorrect, where he is back to goal, defender in his back, and he's just like manipulating the ball, rolling his foot over the top of it, and just does that enough times to open enough space, turn, bang, goal. Josie Altidore on fire in MLS, 6 goals in 8 games. I'm hoping he can continue that to November 11th.
So it could be November 11th, Columbus, Gio Dos Santos v. Josie Altidore.
It could be.
The battle for CONCACAF.
Yeah, but Josie, just keep an eye on his form right now.
All right.
You got any more for me?
I do not. Those are my 3.
Oh, my final one was New England Revolution have switched to the Diamond. Your third one was DC New York, which I also had. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Taylor had a confused look on his face.
I did. I was like, haven't you done 3 already?
So New England Revolution switched to a Diamond, which means Lee Win gets to play basically up front with Juan Agudelo. So instead of being deeper in midfield, he's basically up front, Kellen Rowe just behind them. There is a great goal from this weekend's win. New England beat NYCFC 3-1. It's Kellen Rowe goes down the right, cuts it back. Diego Fagundes lets it run through his legs. Lee Win collects it. Lee Win cuts as if he's the American Kevin De Bruyne and then scores. So Lee Win I'm excited about because I thought he was going to be the guy that was having, again, the Sasha Kleshton national team year. You know what I mean? Like, he was in the provisional lineup for the provisional roster for the Copa America.
Right.
We really haven't seen him since.
We have not.
How is he not on the roster for St. Vinny's and Trinidad?
Because there's a lot of midfield attacking talent.
That's what's happened, right? And I'm hoping this may be a little renaissance, a mini renaissance for Lee Win getting to play farther upfield.
Sasha Kleshton says no. That is my answer.
Bill
to that
Hamid
statement.
says no to Sasha Kleshton.
Yeah, exactly. So does the Post. Yeah.
There's a hierarchy of no here. All right, so this MLS segment has been brought to you by Ruffneck Scarves, official scarf providers for US Soccer, Major League Soccer, NCAA, and USL, home to our beloved Richmond Kickers. Ruffneck will also create custom scarves. So if you have a scarf in your head that you think, if only I could sew, you don't need to learn how to sew, or knit, I guess knit.
Yeah.
You don't need to learn how to knit. You can take it to ruffneckscarves.com and have it created for you. 20% off any scarf in the Ruffneck Scarf store with promo code TOTALSoccerShow. All caps, all one word.
There we go. Final segment before we get out of here, Mr. Grove.
Yeah.
It's the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network.
It is, and it's one of my favourite parts of the show.
Really?
For good reason.
Why is that?
Because I like hearing about the up-and-comers, right? These are the best young talents in the world. Our listeners have got their eyes on them. We are getting reports on them. But also because this is how we fund the show.
Correct.
This is the way we get listener support to fund Total Soccer Show, keep the lights on, and even keep the AC on. We came in, we're recording this late Monday night.
You were nervous, weren't you?
Yeah, the AC is on. So everybody who was worried about us last night, we did sweat. We did some sweating last night.
It was a good 91, 92 degrees in the studio.
All is good. All is 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hooray! Yeah.
We have 5 scouting reports today, Taylor. I invite you to go first.
I shall. First report comes from DJ Ringus, who's scouting Levi Garcia. We saw him play for Trinidad and Tobago. He's quite good.
We saw Michael Bradley chase him unsuccessfully.
Yep. Levi scored his first goal of the season for AZ Alkmaar, and it was very impressive. It was indeed. I watched it. It's a lot of high pressure, winning the ball back, doing some clever moves and some step overs, and then scoring. Lovely stuff there. He also has his own personal chant nowadays, and DJ is determined to sing that chant during the Hex.
How does it go?
From what I could hear, it's in Dutch, so there is that. It's like the "We will follow," like "We love you, we love you, we love you" chant, but with Garcia, 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 and then there's some other words thrown in there as well.
It's not bad when you're a teenager to get that.
It's decent.
Get that sung for you. Next up, it's one of my favourites. Jesse Howe, down in Colombia, is scouting.
You do also say that you love Jesse Howe. I've heard you say that many times.
Daniel Torres. I'm very fond of Jesse Howe as well. But I'm very, very fond of Daniel Torres, the Colombian midfielder. Torres played the full 90 in Alaves' 2-1 victory over Barcelona at the Camp Nou this past weekend. I forgot he'd moved there. I thought he was still down in Colombia.
Nope.
So Daniel Torres is part of the Alaves team that beat Barcelona 2-1. The midfielder was, according to Jesse, only posterised once by Neymar. That's good. That's below average for most people. Yep. He's also been playing regularly for the Colombian national team.
Yep.
Go Daniel Torres.
Jesse also asked if you knew what posterized meant. It seems like you do, so that's good.
Yeah.
There we are.
Only because it's come up once on the show, I think, last year, and we had this whole conversation. Now I know what posterized means.
Gotcha. John Adams emails in scouting Shayon Harrison. Shayon scored a penalty and contributed to the winning goal in a 2-1 victory over Derby in the Premier League 2. He scored a penalty in a 3-1 loss to Chelsea in the Premier League 2 as well. That means he is the penalty specialist for young Spurs, that's what I'm calling them, and has 4 total goals this season in the Premier League 2.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say who he played for. Shayon Harrison is another promising young Tottenham player. At least he doesn't play Cameron Carter-Vickers' position, right? No one can catch Cameron
that's
Carter.
good. Yeah.
Up next, James Jones is scouting Andrew Carlton of Atlanta United FC on loan at Charleston Battery. So James says Carlton played his first USL game on September 7th away to FC Montreal. We've seen them in action. And then picked up his first career pro start in a 2-1 win over Bethlehem Steel. That's how I've been told to pronounce it. He is now the youngest American to ever start a USL match and could play against Richmond since he is ineligible for the playoffs.
Right. He has not played enough times. This is what James thinks, based on what he's read, that basically Andrew Carlton has not played enough times to qualify because you have to play a certain number.
It's 5. I'm pretty sure you have to play 5 games in the regular season to be eligible for the playoffs. What I'm confused about is why does James think that means he will play against Richmond?
Because it means that they can rest other players for the playoffs.
I
think
see.
Charleston are also in the playoff race. They have not yet officially qualified.
It's a big game.
So we shall see. I hope we see him.
The game is Saturday? Yeah, Kickers, or is it Wednesday? There are 2. We've got 2 games upcoming.
Wednesday, I think, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm hoping we get to see Andrew Carlton. I'd be really excited to see.
Final report comes from Scott D. Friedman, who's scouting Emre Moore. Emre started and played 83 minutes in Turkey's 1-1 draw with Croatia in World Cup qualifying. He came close to scoring inside the first minute and drew the foul that led to Turkey's equalizer, which was a Hakan Çalhanoğlu free kick. Scott watched the game, which was played without a single fan in the stands. Croatia had a fan suspension.
Of course, from the Euros.
Don't be fascists is the answer. Confirms.
Wasn't that the whole thing that wasn't what they did, though? It was the fans protesting.
Well, I mean, they did that to basically make the FA look like a laughingstock on a global scale.
Right.
But they've done a few different things, have the Croatian fans, that aren't great. And basically Scott confirmed that it was a very weird experience because, now you can just hear everybody talking and the coaches talking, which is kind of amazing. I feel like it'd be a good experience. Moore did not travel with Dortmund this weekend, so he did not feature in their 2-1 loss to RB Leipzig.
So none of that stink is on him. Nor on Cristian Pulisic because he didn't get off the bench.
No, but he was on the bench. So
right, yeah. If you don't enter the field,
semi-stink.
The stink ends at the white touchlines.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it.
There'd definitely be no stink on him if they were wearing Mack Weldon attire. But, we're all about cross-sponsorship here.
All right. Thank you to everybody who sent in scouting reports. If you would like to join the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network, be assigned a young player, you can go to totalsoccershow.com/subscribe and you will see all the options there. Thank you to everyone who has done so far. All right, Taylor, thank you for taking the time to draft with me today.
Thank you for taking the time to MLS with me today.
It's a verb. MLS is a verb.
Yeah.
Listeners, take a look at our 2 Champions League 11s. Let us know which one you think will win. I'm a little nervous about Taylor's now with that strategy of long balls to Lewandowski. Seems like it could be dangerous. We will be back on Wednesday and Thursday to review all the Champions League action and answer some listener questions. Until then, it is goodbye from us.